The family was asleep when it happened, Canada's most chilling family massacre. It was a quiet June morning in Alberta when police stumbled upon a horror that would shock the entire country. On June 28, 1959, officers entered the Cook family home in Stettler, Alberta, and walked into a nightmare. Hidden in the grease pit of the garage were the bodies of 7 people: Raymond Cook, his wife Daisy, and their 5 young children. All dead. All murdered. Raymond, 53, and Daisy, 37, had been shot with a double-barreled shotgun. Their children, Gerald, 9, Paige Christopher Fred, 7, Kathy, 5, and Linda May, 3, had been bludgeoned to death with the butt of a rifle. The children were found in their nightclothes. Blood stains on the mattresses told a silent, chilling story. The murders happened while the family slept. But who could have done something so evil? Just the day before, June 27th, Raymond's son from a previous marriage, Robert Raymond Cook, age 22, had been arrested. Not for murder, but for fraud. He had traded in the family's 1958 Chevrolet station wagon for a flashy 1959 Impala convertible. But what police found inside that car would shift the entire investigation. In the trunk of the Impala, they found something deeply unsettling: birth certificates, insurance policies, a marriage certificate, and school report cards, all belonging to the Cooks. Robert's suitcase held new bed sheets, 4 sets of children's pajamas, and a photo album full of pictures of his late mother. It looked like he'd packed up his family's entire identity. And when police asked Robert where his parents were, the lies started pouring out. First, he claimed his father had given him $4,100 and that the whole family had moved to British Columbia. But Raymond's closest friends said he had never heard of such a plan. The stories didn't just change, they collapsed under even the slightest pressure. The fraud charges were dropped. Now Robert was facing accusations of something far more serious: the massacre of his entire family. But under Canadian law at the time, because murder was a capital crime, prosecutors only charged him with 1 count: the murder of his father. The case took a dark and bizarre turn on July 11th, 1959, just after midnight. Robert escaped from Ponoka Mental Institution, where he was undergoing psychiatric evaluation. He hadn't been allowed to attend his family's funeral, and now he was on the run. The escape sparked one of Alberta's biggest manhunts. 100 RCMP officers, dozens of police dogs, 50 militia soldiers, and aircraft all searched relentlessly. Days later, they found Robert hiding out on a pig farm near Bashaw, Alberta. His excuse? He just wanted to visit the graves of his family. Robert never stopped claiming he was innocent. But in December 1959, he was put on trial for the murder of his father and found guilty. The sentence: death by hanging. He appealed, won a retrial, and had another shot at proving his innocence. But in June 1960, the second trial ended the same way: guilty. Normally, that wouldn't have been the end. By 1960, most murderers in Canada were being spared execution. Prime Minister John Diefenbaker's government had shown leniency to dozens of men on death row. But Robert didn't get that lifeline. There was no recommendation for mercy in his case. Even though executions were becoming rare, they hadn't stopped. And this case, this mass murder of 5 sleeping children, didn't inspire much public sympathy. In fact, the government sent out surveys to locals asking if they thought Robert was guilty and if he should hang. The overwhelming answer was yes. Clemency petitions flooded in, addressed to the Solicitor General and the Prime Minister. None were answered. Then, on November 14, 1960, Robert's lawyer received a telegram from the Governor General. The execution was happening. Just after midnight on November 15th, at Fort Saskatchewan Provincial Gaol, 23-year-old Robert Raymond Cook was led to the gallows. Everything went smoothly. He was pronounced dead at 12:19 a.m. He became the last person to ever be executed in Alberta. In the days before his death, Robert agreed to donate his body for science. His eyes were sent to the Edmonton Eye Bank. His body went to the University of Alberta Hospital. He even wrote a poem maintaining his innocence to the very end. Years later, his former lawyer, David McNaughton, spoke publicly about the case. He's still alive and gave a talk about it in 2019. McNaughton said the evidence against Robert was entirely circumstantial. He remembered Robert's face when he was first told about the murders, how genuinely horrified he seemed. But he also admitted it was possible Robert had mentally blocked out the trauma, maybe even convinced himself he didn't do it. Malcolm Fisher, a retired school teacher, also weighed in. He was 9 years old when the murders happened and has studied the case ever since. He believes Robert was guilty, but also mentally unstable and should not have been executed. Months before the massacre, while serving time for car theft and breaking and entering, Robert was attacked by another inmate. He was struck in the head with a lead pipe. After that, people noticed a shift in his behavior. He became easily agitated and more erratic. Some said he had always been a good liar. After the murders, that reputation only grew. When asked where his parents were, Fisher said his story kept changing. Nothing in his story could be confirmed when police checked it. He was a charmer, a conscienceless liar who changed his version of things depending on what the police knew. Sarayo. But even now, decades later, there are still people who wonder, did Robert Raymond Cook really kill his entire family, or did Alberta execute an innocent man?